and we are joined by not just our resident Black historian, but like when you get your Iyanla show, I'm tuning in. Okay. Kimberly Renee is here. And it's just always fascinating and awesome when you find out that people are not only like good at what they do, but like good people. So we're gonna for that. That's why you're so pretty. Because it's like it's emanating from inward to outward. You see?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I understand.
Yes. So what are we talking about today? What historical good shit or bullshit are we talking about today?
Well, it's a combination. It's a combination. We're actually interrupting our series on political violence because I have one more installment for next week, and we're going to address the questions that I left unanswered from the previous week. But let's talk about Black August, since we're in August.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Put the people on.
Yes, because I've seen so many organizations use the phrase Black August for like their events or festivals, anything that's celebrating Blackness in August. And don't get me wrong, I think all that's lovely, but I want to make sure that we're grounded in our understanding of what Black August is and where it came from. So one thing about
Kimberly Renee is she gonna make sure we are grounded in our understanding.
Yes, like look, play around with it, but know where it comes from. So the short answer is that Black August is meant to honor fallen warriors and demand freedom for political prisoners. So how do we get here? Now, there is so much in this story, so I'm going to do my best to keep it really brief. But if you're listening, you got to go look up some more stuff on your own. So the tradition actually began August 21st, 1971. That was the day that George Jackson was assassinated in jail by San Quentin prison guards. Now, who the heck is George Jackson? So George Jackson was born in Chicago in 1941. He was arrested for allegedly robbing a gas station in LA. He took $70, allegedly. Now, he was convicted of that crime, and he was sentenced to jail, get this, for 1 year to life for $70. Okay. Now, he was sentenced in 1961. Now, while he was incarcerated, this is a young man, like 18, 19 years old, he became an avid reader. He actually started reading people like Huey Newton and ended up joining the Black Panther Party behind bars. Okay. He also started detailing his experiences and thoughts on racial oppression, capitalism, and the prison system. And these writings ended up being placed into a book called Soledad Brother, The Prison Letters of George Jackson. Yep. And it actually positioned him as a leading figure in the Black Power movement. He also, in that book, gave us a glimpse at the way that prisoners were being treated brutally in the 60s and 70s. So here's where it starts to shift. So, for example, an example of that brutality. So one of his friends is actually his mentor, W.L. Nolan, another Black man who was imprisoned for an indefinite period of time for robbery. He co-founded with Nolan and George, co-founded the Black Guerrilla Family, which ultimately, because it was behind bars, they called it a gang. Now, Nolan filed a class action lawsuit against the prison in 1969, claiming that the guards were filing fake disciplinary reports, leaving cells unlocked so that the Aryan Nation could come and assault them.
What?
They were putting poop and glass in their food. And 4 months after Nolan filed this petition, he and another guy who signed that petition were assassinated by a guard. So what happened, there was an area of the prison that had not been used for like 2 years. The guards opened up that space and invited the Black folks, the Black prisoners, and the Aryan Nation. And so, they started fighting. There was a guard in the guard tower who was a former marksman. He shot 3 times and killed 3 Black people. And one of those was W.L. Nolan. Right. Now, after this happened, everybody was waiting for the guards to be punished. When they found out they weren't going to be punished, somebody killed another guard at San Quentin. George Jackson, who was Nolan's mentee, he got charged for that murder. Oh. While George Jackson was waiting for his trial, his court date for that incident that he didn't do, he ended up being assassinated. Now, there's a whole lot of stuff that happened in between there because Angela Davis gets up in there. There was a whole shootout in a courtroom at one point. George's brother. Listen, there was a whole lot of drama. Like I said, we don't have a lot of time to go through all of it. Right. But just know that 3 days before his case was due to go trial, he was assassinated. Now, there's so many different accounts, conflicting accounts about like how this happened. Some people were like, oh, he smuggled a gun in. I don't know if I believe that. I don't believe the prison guards, to be honest with you. But all that to say, the date of his assassination, August 21st, was the day in which people were like, we need to honor and respect those who are in
Mm.
prison, and shouldn't be,
Yeah.
the political prisoners.
Yeah.
And that's how we got to Black August.
There you go. Now, Black August actually, when I lived in New York, I remember it was really heavily celebrated by a lot of underground hip hop artists at the time. So, like, most definitely Talib Kweli and Pharoah Monch, and like that was like a real thing. They used to do a whole Black August show. Like, there was an annual Black August concert that was always like a vibe. It always had a lot of incense and weed at it, and but I never. But then once I left New York, I feel like that wasn't represented in the circles I was in California. But I'm really glad to see that online I'm seeing Black August resurface as something that people want to put to a more visible way of celebrating. And August is also now the month of the Montgomery brawl, the
Yes, it
in the
is.
water, if you will. And remember, we
August
are
5th.
taking calls from people about what that annual holiday should be named. So remember to give us a call. Remember to give us a call. But always appreciate you just not only giving us new information, but also reminding folks about things. Because I know a lot of people are hearing Black August, but they didn't have that context.
For sure.
Thank you so much. Where can people get more Kimberly Renee in their lives?
Yep, you can connect with me at It's Kimberly Renee on Instagram and TikTok and Threads, as well as my website, KimberlyRenee.com.
There you have it, y'all. Bring up some old ish with Kimberly Renee, and we're going to keep bringing up some old ish, and we've got new things to discuss when we get back right here to the Amanda Seales Show. Keep it locked to listen, laugh, and learn. We up, we up.